Hi, to anyone who is watching or listening to this. This is just going to be a kind of very short overall introduction to streaming, specifically streaming using OBS, open broadcasting software, onto Twitch. There are other ways to stream, but that's the one I'm familiar with, and so that's the one that I'm going to share what I know. If you don't recognise any of those terms, that's absolutely fine. I promise when you see how this works, it is relatively straightforward. And so we're just going to go through the very basic things, basically what you would need to do to get from having nothing to actually streaming yourself audibly, visibly on Twitch. So the first thing, as I mentioned, is you need open broadcasting software. If you just type OBS, not OSB, OBS into Google, it'll be the first thing that comes up. Click through. There are versions for Windows and for Mac, and you just click there and it will start automatically downloading, and then you just go through the standard installation on your laptop, computer, whatever it is that you're using. OBS is free, and it is really easy and intuitive to use. And if you want to stream on Twitch, you are going to need to download OBS. So what you'll see when you open up OBS, ignore everything that's in the background of this screenshot. What you'll see when you open up OBS, this is what it will look like. In the bottom left corner, you've got scenes, and then you kind of move from left to right, basically, with scenes, sources, audio mixer and such like. What you'd start with, once you've got a scene, which you always have one scene, then you can see you can just click onto that, and that basically means that you are now looking at the sources for that scene. If you go down to the plus sign, then it shows you all the different sources you can put into a scene. Sources is things like just the image that a camera has, or a picture that you want to put in, like an overlay, or a microphone, things like that. You've got a lot of different things here. Some of them I have never used. Normally it's audio input, video capture, sometimes image if you're using an overlay, and then very occasionally, for various purposes, I'll use media source like a film, or window capture, which obviously lets you select a window from your device and capture it. But then if you just go up and first off select audio input capture, and that will be your microphone. It'll come up with this at the top. Feel free just to create a new one. If you already are further down the line and you have existing ones, you can also reuse existing ones. This is how you create a new one. It'll give you whatever options you have. So it gives me this because when I was taking these screenshots, I didn't have a mic plugged in. I didn't have a webcam plugged in that I could use. So it'll show you what you can do. Choose whichever one of those you want, and then you're just going to press OK, and you can see now that in the audio mixer section it has like a little green bar that's lighting up, which is your audio input capture. A frequent thing to check in terms of troubleshooting with audio, sometimes you might record and it comes across as echoey or something like that, or the audio input doesn't look as high as you'd want it to. Make sure that on your laptop or your computer's settings that the audio input is also set to whatever you've just set it to, because if you've set your audio input in OBS to a webcam mic but your laptop thinks that its audio input is its internal mic, sometimes that can cause some issues, but it's a pretty straightforward troubleshoot of just making sure any settings on your computer are the same as what you've done for OBS. So yeah, the next thing you'd want to do is add a video capture device. So this will be your laptop's camera or a webcam if you've got one. So again, you'll get the same create new little window at the top there. And then again, you can see that right now it's just giving me FaceTime HD because I don't have anything plugged in. I will select that. You won't notice much of a difference when I select it because I have tape over my webcam. But what you can see is that once I've selected it, you'll have noticed the red lines that have appeared on the screen itself. That is totally normal and to be expected. You can see things here like the preset of 1280 by 720. That's probably the lowest that you want to do. Obviously you can go up to, I think it's 920 by 1080. That's not always necessary, and a lot of people, because of their download speeds, will end up seeing Twitch in something around 1280, 720 anyway. It totally depends, but also if you're starting, apart from the things that I'm taking you through, largely OBS's baseline settings, what it will naturally open up with, they will do you fine. It's only when you're getting into more complex stuff, or you really want to ramp up the quality of what you're doing, that you'll have to get into the nitty-gritty, which is not what this video is about. So yeah, press OK on that, and then you'll see that, and you can see there's a slight difference between the black and over here within the red lines, because you've got like a little bit of light coming through that piece of tape for my webcam. So these red lines are obviously the edge of your image. You can make your image smaller, you can make it bigger. All you have to do is click on one of those little square dots and drag it out. So if I was to just drag it, then it would kind of like click into a larger space. There's also something else you can do, which is, as you see by this green line, if you go to one of those dots, and on a laptop, well, on a MacBook, it's Option and then click. I think on a Windows, it's Alt and then click. But if you press that button, hold it down, and then click, you can actually crop the sides of the image if you ever need to, which is sometimes useful just for making it fit just right. And you'll see that it becomes this green line. Additionally, you can see that actually there's a, if you look at where it says video capture device, you can see, and also with audio capture device, you can see an eye and a lock. With video capture device, that's the only time I really use that. Basically, if you click on the eye, it'll have a line through it and you won't be able to see it anymore. Sometimes that's useful for going through different inputs if you've got multiple cameras attached, or if you've got multiple images involved. And the lock is also really handy because it means that it's locked in position and you won't accidentally click on it and start to drag it out of position. So yeah, just put that back so that it's the full screen. And then I'm just going to show you how to put an image on, because it's nice as like a thing to do. It'll make things look a little bit smarter if you've got the time and ability to do it. So if you just click onto image, again, ignore the fact that this says add existing. This is because I was doing this midway through making this video. It will come up if this is your first time doing it with just create one new one. And then it will bring up a window like this. And what you want to do is obviously click onto browse, and then you can search through your computer and look for whatever image it is that you want to put on here. Now I'm just using this overlay as an example. Whenever I make overlays, I just save them as PNG files, and they have transparent sections in them, and the transparent sections are obviously what shows through and shows video within the overall image. So if you select that, the moment you select it, you can see it come up on the images behind. And so that's what it will look like. And obviously you can't quite tell because I don't have a camera fully attached here, but obviously if I had, say normally with this I would use two cameras, I'd have one camera at the top, one at the bottom, and you'd be able to see it through this overlay, and it's just something that looks like a little bit smarter. So the final thing, because actually like that's the absolute core of what you'd need to do. The final thing is we're going to go to settings, which I've just highlighted. However, we're going to go there to put in your stream key, which is a piece of jargon that if you're new to streaming, you might not be familiar with. So this is assuming that you've set up a Twitch account. It's very straightforward to do so. If you just go to www.twitch.tv and you can set things up from there. I'm not including that in this video because it is very much like it will take you through the steps of that. But once once you have a Twitch account, I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So this is the homepage of Twitch with your account. In the top right hand corner is that icon, and I'm going to go all the way down to settings. And then from settings, I'm going to go to channel and videos. And then this loads up this page, and you can see first thing right at the top is called your primary stream key. I'm going to copy that. It's something that you should never share with anyone. You just copy it, only you are going to need it. And now it's copied. Basically, a stream key is the thing. I'm pretty sure the rest of this is unnecessary. A stream key is basically the piece of information that makes sure that when you press that start streaming button in your OBS, it will start streaming on your Twitch channel, that it won't go anywhere else, that the information knows where to go. So if you click onto settings, and then once you've got that up, you just have to go to, it'll open up on general, the one that's on the left hand side right at the top, but you just click onto stream, and you can see that it's showing different services. So these are different places where you can stream through. Like I said, the one that I have the most experience with, so the one that I'm talking about today, is Twitch. There are options like YouTube, however, I would say that that's not necessarily as intuitive as Twitch, and the interface changes quite often. So I would, if you're wondering whether Twitch or YouTube, I would recommend Twitch. And so yeah, you just make sure it says Twitch, go for the auto recommended, and then you copy and paste in your stream key. And then once you've actually done that, all you need to do is press OK, and then I'm going to go right back to, I'm just going to reel back through a couple of these steps so you can see properly, okay? So obviously above the settings button, you can see start streaming and start recording. The main difference there is that if you press start streaming, it will go immediately online. I tend to look for a upload speed of around at least like 3 to 5 megabytes per second. That may depend on what you're doing. I'm talking from experience of like doing stuff with multiple cameras and things like that. But you can always do a test. There is also one thing that I'm going to show you just now, which is how to do a stream test, which is a way of testing whether your internet connection is strong enough, and how well you'll be able to stream in terms of like skipped frames, in terms of audio going juddery, that kind of thing. And it's a really simple way to do it in a way that won't actually show up on your... Okay, so you'll see that in the top I've just googled test stream key code. I do remember a proper way of doing it via the Twitch website, but I've since forgotten then. So if you put in any combination of these words, then probably the second thing you'll see is this Reddit post. You'll notice that I'm going past the Twitch inspector. That's just because I've not used it yet. It's something that seems a bit more recent, and this is how I know how to do this. So you can see here, just like the third paragraph down, there's a bit of code, which is question mark bandwidth test equals true. So what you want to do is just highlight that and copy it, and then you're going to go to where your stream key is, back in your settings, and at the end of the stream key, not like instead of it, but at the end of it, add in that bit of text, the question mark bandwidth test equals true. And then if you just OK that and go back to how things are normally, you'll see that you've still just got your normal setup. But what this actually means is when you press that start streaming button, it won't go to the actual internet, and you can just test. And what you'll be looking out for is, if you look kind of at the bottom of this image, like right at the bottom of the window, you can see live 000 recording, CPU, and frames per second, and that will show you if it's basically taking up too much of your CPU to stream. If you're dropping a certain amount of frames, it'll show you a percentage, which will basically be, is the image going to be juddery? And that's a really nice way to test whether stuff is going to work before you're actually up online. You will also probably notice that there's a start streaming button and a start recording button. That's because you might actually just want to use OBS as a means to record something and then to put it online later. You can record something and then Remember when we looked at sources before, there was one media source. You can record something, it'll be a movie, put it in as media source later, and you can actually just let it run and stream it as it's running as a movie in OBS, which is more for if you're recording something at a different time to when you actually want it to go out live. However, I think that's kind of all the basics. I know I've not touched on certain things you can see here, like studio mode or scene transitions, but if you're just getting into streaming with Twitch with OBS, those are the basics. You really don't need to really know anything more to be able to do it. I might post some more videos at some point about more intricate things, but for now that's all you'll actually need, and I hope that this was useful.